Now for section 4, we're going to add a procedural texture to our protein structure. And the reason that we would choose to use a procedural texture rather than another PBR, because you could imagine that you could just add a PBR to your protein. But the problem with that, with a really complex geometry like a protein structure, is that the PBR is made up of small little squares that have been photographed. And it's going to take those and try to wrap it around your object. So you're going to get this patchwork-like quality. Now you can come up with really complicated unwrapping schemes such that your material will be unwrapped perfectly on your object, but that's really difficult. So it's better, in my opinion, to work with a procedural material when working with complicated structures like proteins. And so what that means by a procedural texture, it means that rather than importing an image, all of the images that, or all of the aspects of the material are going to be coming from Blender options rather than images. So to do that, go to your lecture notes, and you'll see if you scroll down, I have an option to add to BlenderKit. Now, BlenderKit is a fantastic resource, and it has a very wide option, a lot of different options for materials that we can use. So go ahead and download BlenderKit. And if you haven't already, you can make an account as well, which you'll need in order to authorize the add-in. So just press download. You'll see a zip file will get created. Now, the BlenderKit that you downloaded right now isn't a software, so you don't need to unzip it or install it. It's just an add-on. And Blender, when you add add-ons, it just takes in the zip file that you downloaded. Okay, so now while people are making their accounts and signing up, I want to explore what the different options are in BlenderKit. So under materials, if you click and search, we can search for example, sci-fi. You can see that there are some really interesting and creative different materials that you can get from BlenderKit. This differs significantly from, for example, ambient CG that we looked at, where all of the materials that you're getting are very classical: rock, stone, cement, wood. So if I'm looking for something very unique, I'll usually go to BlenderKit. Okay. Now, let's jump back to Blender. I want to show you how to activate it. So, to activate BlenderKit, go up to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and Install. So you'll press this Install button here, and you can go to your Downloads, and here is the download zip. You can just say Install Add-on. It'll take a second. And if I type in BlenderKit, this may or may not be checked for you. Go ahead and check it. For me, it's logged in, but for you, you'll see this setup where it says log in, sign up. You can sign up through here if you haven't done that yet, but if you have, just press log in, and then that will take you here. You can say log in and authorize. And that will get you all set up. Now let's go back to our materials. With procedural materials, you can be as creative as you want. So for example, I want a material that's translucent, so let's light go through. I would like it to have a little bit of texture so that it's bumpy, and I would also like it so that there's just a little bit of shine on the material. So one material that I thought captures that, at least partly, is snow. So I can just type in snow here, and let's see what comes up. So here we have a procedural snow texture that we can use. If we click on that, you can say get this material, select that, and you can just copy the link. This is why I like BlenderKit so much, because it simplifies a lot of the complicated parts of adding in textures. So once we've done copy the link, we can go back to Blender, and we can select our protein material. And if you go over here to the side, you'll see that there's this new BlenderKit tab once you've activated it. So if you click on this, you can see that the link that we copied from the website has been automatically added here for us. If you click on this eye icon here, the snow texture will appear in the left-hand corner. We can then grab that, drag it over. You'll see that white line that points off the texture. The tip of that will be where we add it. So I'm going to add it right to the protein itself, drop it. It'll take a second to load in, but you can see that this procedural texture is very interesting. I like the texture. You can see it's got some interesting surface imperfections. It's got a little bit of glow. There's even some shine from the snow as you zoom in more. So just to appreciate a little bit what BlenderKit did, if we go down to our node panel, you can see the node diagram that was automatically added in for us. We have, rather than images, there's just noise textures. So these are just functions in Blender. We're combining a default noise texture with a Voronoi noise texture, and then we use color ramps to select out the range from those noise textures that we want. And then we just feed those directly into the base color, the roughness, and this one is going into this displacement, which would be how bumpy the surface is. Now the nice thing about this is that there are no images that are being applied, so it can seamlessly add this to any surface, no matter how complicated it is.